by talking about what organization is, and I went to good old Webster's Dictionary. Does anybody still have a Webster's Dictionary? Good. I actually have the one that was given to me when I went away to college way back in 70, whatever that was. So Webster identifies or defines organization as the act or process of organizing or of being organized. So that really made a whole lot of sense, didn't it? He also included to arrange or form into a coherent unity or functioning whole. So organization is one of those things that you know when you see it. You know who does it well and who doesn't do it very well at all. So let's look some more. Why would we want to be organization? Have organization? What is it all about? Well, actually, being organized is very essential. And some of us go overboard and are very obsessive in our organization. Some of us have just enough to make us feel good. But it is essential for us to be healthier in mind and body. It helps us stay on track. When you feel like you're well organized, you don't have to worry about a whole lot. You feel like you're in control of your everyday life. Everybody likes to be in control, right? I try to be, but I work for the school system, and that doesn't work very well some days. But because I work with children, but that's all right. Why should you organize? Why should you organize? Well, it's simple. You want to stay sane, don't you? That's one of the best reasons to organize yourself, to be able to retain your sanity. You want to make yourself more efficient, and you also want to give some sort of structure to your life and those around you. How many, all of you have special needs children? Some of you have more involved children than others, so you have more appointments than others. Can you imagine not having control over your life with some sort of organization? All of your appointments, all of your therapies, everything that you had to take care of, you need that organization. I would die if I lost my calendar, let me just tell you. And thank the good Lord that the iPhone syncs with the Google Calendar at work, because that's how I keep up with my world. There's some other benefits to being organized. Any of you clean when you get upset or you need a break? Yeah, I knew there was some of you. You come over to my house after this is over. It's funny, if you walked into my office right now and into my house, you would think that I would be the last person who needed to be talking to you about organization. It's just been that time of year. I have stacks on my desk. We just got through doing allotments, and so I have piles everywhere of how I got the psychologists in the schools that they need to be in. So organizing yourself can be very therapeutic, just like cleaning your house. It can be very helpful to you, make you feel better. It can also be very liberating. When you have yourself organized, when you have your world under your control, you can do all kinds of things. You feel just liberated. And so on top of being liberated, you have more time. You have time that you can play with, and you don't have to worry about squeezing something in because you've got everything in a notch where it needs to go. And in addition to that, you can save money. I can't tell you how many countless times I have purchased something for a specific reason, put it down, and couldn't find it when I needed it. So what do? You go back to the store, you buy another one, and what happens as soon as you get home? You find it. So that's what happens if you get yourself organized. You save money because you don't buy the same things over and over again. And then it eliminates a little bit of stress. I won't say it, undue stress is the right word for that, because it keeps you from worrying about how are you going to get this done or how are you going to work that in. So where do we begin? Where do we begin to get ourselves organized? Well, I broke it down into 3 different areas. About home, I talk about adults, I talk about children. At home, I want you to know there are countless numbers of books. If you go online and Google organization skills or strategies, you could go on forever looking at different opportunities. I'll show you the 3 books that I took a look at, so that you can see them. They're very easy to find. One's called Yes, I Can Organize. It's by Rebecca Cohen, and it's very simple and gives you some steps. It even has some surveys that you can take. So if you wanted to organize your bedroom or your bathroom or your kitchen or den, you've got all you need in that book. The 3 big questions for a frantic family actually it's almost like a fable. It tells you a story of how a family went about organizing themselves. And then Organization 101, which was by Rosita Kelly, I found most helpful because it broke it down into the same areas that I was looking at. Home, adults, and children. So there's a plethora of information out there if you want to organize your home in any different way, from just a single closet to your whole house. So if you need any of that, I just say go Google away, because it's out there and very easy to find. When you are looking at that, and it's not so much that things have to look pretty, it's that they emphasize that there's a place for everything. When we look at adults, let's talk about some strategies for adults. Now, do any of you work on top of taking care of your special needs kids? Yeah, I figured so. I figured so. So the best thing for us to do, any of you keep lists? Yeah, gotta have a list. So the first thing you need to do is prioritize. You gotta do the work that needs to be done first before any of the other work can be done. So you put that into what you need it to be, and then you can kind of go down that list and check off the things that you've done, and that's a really good feeling. So I'm a list person. Any of you a list person? That's the way I get through the day. So I love checking off something or drawing a line through it. Is excellent. And then map out your day. Map out your day so that you've got a goal of what your plan for the day is. What do you have to get done first? And what is the ultimate goal at the end of the day? So how do you get from point A to point B? And then have a list, as we've been talking about, just to check those off. So those are some good places to start. And I'll tell you, I didn't spend a lot of time on you adults. I just wanted you to know that the bottom line of what I wanted you to see is that when you want to organize your children, you have to organize yourselves. You can't just organize them. You have to be a part of that. So the best way to do that is get a little organization going, and then be able to share that with your children. Let's talk about the children. I said it before, I'll say it a couple of times as we keep going. You will have to organize yourself to be able to organize your children. So be a model, be a role model for your children. Let them see you do the things that you want them to do. We're going to talk about them as we continue, but you know, at the end of the day, when you come in, show them how you put your things back where they belong. Before you go to bed, show them how you get your materials ready for the next day. Those are the kinds of things that you want to emphasize with your children. And then you want to teach them. You want to teach them to do the tasks that they can handle at their age levels and ability levels so that they can develop a sense of self-esteem. You don't want to do everything for them. You're not helping them by doing everything for them if they are capable of doing things in certain tasks, and I feel sure that most of them are. And then give them the tools that they need to be able to do that organization for themselves. It's very important that one of the tools would maybe teaching them a particular task. You know, it's amazing, but we weren't developed with organization skills. It's actually contrary to our nature for most of us to be that organized. So our children just follow in our footsteps. So it's important that we show them and give them the skills that they need to be able to handle some of that organization. And you start that very early on. You may not realize it, but you have routines from the day you bring them home from the hospital. You have routines to feed them. One of the very first ones that you work on as they get to an age to calm themselves is a bedtime routine, right? You've got that routine of when they are going to bed. Routines should be a tool that you use to help you stay organized. The one thing that you don't want to want to happen is that it becomes a prison because you're too rigid. Now, our children with autism need routines. They need that structure. That's true. But we don't want to be so structured that we handicap them as well. I have seen many students with autism all the way through the high school level that can't break those routines. So as kids are growing up, you have a morning time routine where they get up, get dressed, get their teeth brushed, get their breakfast, get their things, all of those routines. Well, we're going to move those into responsibilities as children get older. How many of your kids have chores? All right, give yourself a pat on the back. It's important for kids to have responsibilities. It gives them a chance to learn. It gives them a chance to problem solve. And when they do that, when they use those problem solving skills, they develop coping skills. And if I have to say one area of concern that I have for our kids in the middle and high schools these days is that they don't have coping skills. They have very few coping skills, and it's very frustrating for them. It's very frustrating for the adults in their lives because they don't see a way out of situations and very often make very drastic choices in the way that they deal with that frustration. And so you're not going to hurt your kids by giving them responsibilities, okay? It develops self-esteem, it helps them develop those problem-solving skills, and it helps them learn to cope. As they, so giving them chores that they are able to handle at their developmental level and age level are very important. It could start by taking out the trash or putting their trash from the kitchen table into the trash can. It can start very simple and then move on up. I'm not telling you to make them indentured slaves, but you know, it's not going to hurt them to work a little bit, all right? We also, and as you work, then you could earn your allowance if you give an allowance, or have any spending money whatsoever, and that also becomes an area where you can have a routine. One of the ways that we've talked with parents about dealing with allowance, and we also tie that into incentives a lot for kids that have attention difficulties, you give your kids envelopes of how you want them to spend their money or how they want to spend their money. And when I was growing up, there was always an envelope for the church, and then there was an envelope for miscellaneous fun toys, and then there was the savings envelope that had to go into the piggy bank. So it's important that however you allocate that money in your household, have the kids pay them in cash. Put that money in let them physically put that money in the envelopes so that they see where that money is. And that way they can save for a special treat or a trip with a friend. Maybe in the springtime, go to the zoo, go out to Carowinds, something like that. But that's a way of them seeing the fruits of their labors and being able to learn to manage their responsibilities and then manage the money from those responsibilities. Let's talk about those agendas. For most kids, planners and agendas are going to save them. The nice thing in the technological world that we are in now, most schools have websites, most teachers have web pages so that homework is posted. Also, here in Cumberland County, we're using Edmodo a lot, so that's a wonderful thing. You can go on Edmodo and make sure the assignments are there. The nice thing about planners is that you can keep a lot of things in them. I'm going to go back. I will promise you I will get to those other two bullets as we go. The nice thing that you can keep up besides homework in your planner is that you can keep up with assignment deadlines. You can keep up with the class schedule. You can keep a friend's phone number. in case you need to get some information. Those are all good things about planners when they work for some children. Now remember, if they're not used to using a planner, it's just like trying to change a behavior. Things are going to get a little rough before they get a little better, all right? So it's not something that you're going to fix overnight and it's going to be a magic bullet. But if you teach them and continue with those incentives, rewards, and consequences, you can teach them the value of the agenda or the planner. And in those kids that are in the middle and high school, you know, they're becoming social, even more social than they were, and those types of consequences that impact social functioning and planning and lives can help promote a lot of different things. So those are the things that you can think about. The other thing is just generally organizing your students. Keep in mind the schedule that you choose, or the way that you choose to organize your student, needs to be something that you can do. You don't need to set up something so elaborate for them that you don't even keep up, that you're not even able to keep up with, okay? So what you want is something that is functional and works. You don't want to have to teach something elaborate to your student and then them not be able to use it unless you're with them. The one thing I would tell you to do is to consider a weekly cleanup, which I mentioned earlier. Dump that book bag out so that you can see what is going on. Try to have a household schedule. Do any of you still eat around the dinner table? A weekly meal? Wonderful. That's a wonderful part of a schedule, and I would try to do that to a regular dinner time and a regular bedtime. Now I realize with adolescents that that's difficult, but they above all need their sleep because they start earlier in the day than some of the elementary kids do. The other thing is, you know, try to limit the television and the video games and those kinds of things so that you're able to use those as incentives. How many do you keep a master calendar? Especially those of you who have extra therapies, keep a master calendar so that you can not only keep up with the things that are going on with your students, but you can keep up with family commitments, you can keep up with after-school activities, days off of school, major things that are going on at home and school, all of those, and include those test dates and that kind of thing. So, I don't know how people live without calendars myself. So
I've got a desk calendar on the door.
Yeah, exactly.
The purple is me, the green is him.
Yeah.
One of my other sons, and then other meetings that I have, those go with black, and then
And then prepare for the next day ahead of time. You know, just help them get their things ready the next day. Check to make sure that those homework is in that homework folder. And finally, teach them how to put their things back in their home place. Teach that. Teach each person to be responsible for his or her area. The other thing is be patient. It doesn't happen overnight. As I said, whenever you're trying to change things, just like when we try to change inappropriate behavior, it always gets worse before it gets better. But it will get better. It will get better. So whatever you put in place, it's got to be manageable. So keep it simple as much as you can.